go over the themes of history. I wanted to show you a couple of things in terms of the assignments. I get a lot of questions about when the assignments are due, how long they're open, so I wanted to show you that. Second thing that I want to make sure that you understand is we will go over all of the materials from this unit next week in a review game. We'll do an interactive review game online, and then I'll show you how you can take your test. You can use any of the notes, the handouts that you have to take that test. The one thing is you can't close out of the tab. So once you start the test, you got to finish the test. If you close out the tab, you're locked out. But we'll go over more of that later. This week, we will cover the importance of ancient Greece and their democratic ideals, ancient Rome and their republican ideals, or their form of government ideals. We'll go over some monotheistic religions, and then also a map exercise of ancient Greece, and we will be done. So we'll go through all of that together. Let me check the chat room. There's a question here. So that is no problem. Other than that, I think we're good. Go ahead and open your homepage on Canvas. And I wanted to go over a couple of things with you about when the assignments are due and how long they're available. So there's a couple of things that I want to go over with you on that that may be a little different, or maybe you haven't seen in Canvas before. Benny, how's that phone working out for you? I just wanted to say hi. You didn't have to stop in the middle of what you're doing. I'm sure it was more important than this class, right? Okay, so a couple of things, because I've gotten this question more than once. So one of the things that you want to check in Canvas, and of course, when you go to your courses, right, you're going to have a list of all of your courses, right? Something similar to probably a list of 4 other courses besides mine. But when you log in, if you look on the right-hand side, you have a bunch of notifications. And if you noticed on Friday, Module 3 came up, and you could look through Module 3. Also, this morning, as well as Friday afternoon, Aries updated. So your grade in Aries and Canvas should be updated. You can check your progress there. But one of the things that I wanted to show you is if you click on assignments, right? And there's a couple of things I want to show you. So even what we did the first week, right? Canvas and school email, that was due technically, right? August 21st at 3:15, which was that first Friday through school. But if you see, it's still available. So even though there's due dates and those due dates have been put in, they are still available. These assignments here, you can see some are available until September 8th. The assignments that we have are still available to you. I have to put a due date into the assignment creation, or it won't let me post the assignment. So the only time that we're going to come up against a deadline is going to be at the end of the quarter. So with everything that's going on, I had 2 people that all of a sudden their charger isn't working. They had to go buy a new charger, what have you. The only hard due dates we're going to have is when we approach the end of the quarter, right? The end of the 6 weeks. So when we get to the end of the 6 weeks, grades obviously got to be turned in. You're going to have an updated grade. That's when we'll start getting into things that you worry. But if you were, say, for example, unable to finish the themes of history, you can still go do that. It's still available to you, and you should be set. Even on TCI. So if you went to student login on TCI, let me get to that and I'll show you that. So student sign in on TCI. Let me log out of my teacher account.
All right, cool, thanks. Yeah.
So remember TCI, you're going to use my JGrok. Use this. Right? Even though the themes of history, right? That themes of history was due yesterday, the 31st at 3:15. But if you click into this and you go to the themes of history, it was the introduction, right? If you look here, it's still available. You still have the turn-in selection. So even though it was due then, right, I have a button I can select and it says don't adhere to the due date. We won't need to worry about that till then. So that is something that I wanted to share with you and make sure that you understand. Does anybody have any questions on that? Right, so your assignments are available. It won't be until we get closer to the end of the quarter. And I would imagine the end of the first quarter, I haven't looked at a school schedule, but this is week 3, 4, 5, 6. I would imagine the end of September, the 25th, is probably when we're looking at a hard due date. But as we get closer, I'll share that with you. All right, any questions on that? So a couple of things that I want to share with you. When we look at your homepage, if you go to modules, all right, if you go to modules, again, everything that we've done in a week or everything that we need to do in a week is in one location. So this is what we did last week. We focused on the 5 themes of history, right? The economic, the political, the cultural, the human environment interaction, social interactions. Those were all of our focus there. As I said, this week we're going to take a look at ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And these are going to be important because ancient Greece, we get a lot of our democratic ideals, the ideas of democracy here in this election year. Ancient Rome, we get a lot of ideas about a republican form of government, and we have a representative form of democracy. These republican ideals where you elect somebody to make decisions for you on a day-to-day basis has its origins in ancient Rome. So we'll go through the 5 themes again real quick. We'll talk about ancient Greece and ancient Rome. We'll talk about 4 forms of government that you start to see during this time. The rise of monotheistic religions, where basically there's a belief in one God, right? Instead of the ancient idea of many gods. There'll be a classwork assignment in terms of a map of ancient Greece locations, and then 2 homework in terms of forms of government and religions that you'll be able to do. And so we'll show you how to do that. So make sure that you are in your Canvas, and we'll get you set up on that. Any questions you can throw into the chat room. Again, now, once you get in that module, remember, right, there'll be an overview, the first thing, right? So the first thing is going to be an overview. We'll review the themes of history, talk about the democratic principles from ancient Rome, the republic ideals from, or democratic principles from ancient Greece, the republic ideals of ancient Rome. There'll be a map assignment and then a forms of government assignment that we will look at. Once you go through that model, if you just click through next, we focused last week almost entirely on this idea of themes of history. Things that we can study will fit in one of these 5 areas. The cultural interaction of different cultures, the economic structures of a particular society, the way that humans and the way the environment interact together, political structures, right? Democracy, communism, monarchies, oligarchies. What is the political structure of a society? And then social structures, right? Social classes. Talk about upper class, middle class, lower class. During the French Revolution, you had various estates. They called them estates: first estate, second estate, third estate. So study of history can fit into one of these 5 themes. And that's what you were supposed to do as an assignment between, was categorize these 5 statements in TCI, right, into which category, right? So these 5 statements, these 5 sentences, right, categorize that there. That's what you were to turn in. That's still open if you hadn't had a chance to do that or didn't finish that. Ancient Greece. If you want to look at, I'll show you the first couple of minutes of this. But basically, ancient Greece is important for the way that they organize their society into what would we consider a democratic process, democratic ideals. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to show you about 2 minutes of this clip. It's like a 50-minute clip, 45-minute clip. You don't want to watch the whole thing, but I'm going to show you the first 2 minutes. But basically, Greece is going to create the standards for the government, or the basis of our government that we have now. This idea of democracy: 1 person, 1 vote. 3 branches of government, right? So we have 3 branches of government. The president is the executive branch. The Senate and the House of Representatives is the legislative branch. Congress, what we call Congress, and then the Supreme Court is the judicial branch. And then also, Greece is important for this idea of natural laws, that when humans are born, there is a law of nature, a law giving them basically the right to life. So I'm going to show you the first 2, about the first 2 minutes of this video. Hopefully it doesn't lag too much. You'll want to turn your volume up. I'll turn the closed captioning on if it is there. Well, it isn't, so we're screwed. Anyway, here we go.
My bridal all from misery, and I cannot save my child from death.
This is one of the most shocking stories ever written. A mother, a princess, has lost her city and her husband in war. Now she has to face the news that she is to be sold into slavery and her only son killed. This film version of an ancient Greek play called Trojan Women has become a classic. The first time I saw it, I was moved to tears, and it still moves me now. It is a play about the most charged aspects of human life: love, war, sacrifice, fear, and death. And although it is set amongst the gods, myths, and peoples of ancient Greece, it is still utterly gripping today. It is one of the main reasons I study classics. An Athenian called Euripides wrote this play a little under 2,500 years ago. Back then, he was often ridiculed as an angry young man, but over time, his plays have come to symbolize the incredible sophistication of ancient Greek civilization. That civilization has influenced almost every aspect of our lives. Not just drama, but politics, language, philosophy, art, and architecture. To understand ourselves, it turns out, we need to understand the ancient Greeks. And the best seat from which to do that, for my money, is in the theatre. The series is about how ancient drama changed our world.
So a couple of things. I've been to Greece, and one of the things that you'll find now, these theaters here, right, are basically built before Christ, and so this would be in the BC. They obviously didn't have electronics. They did not have any sort of magnification. The one amazing part of this is outside of Athens, there's a theater like this. And when they take you on the tour, they have you go all the way to the top and stand at the top. And you can see it seats a couple of thousand people. Well, there's a little it's almost like a home plate in baseball. Down in the middle of that theater where they would have these plays, that was their entertainment, right? In the 20s, before there was television, it was radio, right? In this ancient times of Greek, it was theater. And our tour guide would take a little coin and basically drop it from waist high, and it would land on this little spot right in the center of that circle that you see there in the video, and you could hear it like it was right next to you. The acoustics and how they designed that architecturally was absolutely amazing, right? And so, you know, a lot of people talk about Greek architecture and things that go on, but one of the things that you want to realize is just how advanced, really, for the times that would be, how advanced we would think that is. So Greece is important, especially to the United States, for a couple of reasons. But the biggest reason is the way that they set up what we consider democracy. So one of the things that Americans are very proud of and seem to treasure is this idea of democracy, that we have democracy, that it's one person, one vote. Anybody, right, could become president of the United States. Anybody could become a congressperson. Just depends on what you wanted to do. So ancient Greece, back in the early days, was established and basically organized in one of four types of governments. So they had what was called city-states, where large areas, and you'll see this on the map, large areas were basically controlled by a center city. Athens was the largest of the city-states, right? Because it's right on the Mediterranean Sea, and it was a trade route. All adult males were citizens. So the idea of citizenship comes about from Greece, that you are a citizen of a country. Slavery was ended based on debt. And what it did was create four levels of citizenship based on wealth. So here's your social structure, right? We talked about themes of history in terms of social structure. This would be an example of social structure. So Solon created four levels of citizenship based on wealth. Three highest levels could all hold office. Now, obviously, had to be male. The fourth could still vote. So even if you were the lowest level socially, you could still vote because you are a citizen. All right. The next Greek leader, all right, Cleisthenes, continued political reforms. Full democracy by reorganizing the assembly. All citizens submit laws for debate. Then there was a council of 500. So if you were male, you could submit laws. They had a box. You would put your suggestions in the box, similar to what they had in ancient Italy. Pericles increased the democratic process, starts a direct democracy. Direct democracy means one person, one vote, and you also vote on everything that comes up. Democracy ends, though, after a war between Athens and Sparta, when Sparta comes over and takes over the city-state of Athens. So you have a constant increase in democratic ideals, right? Greece had a belief in intelligence and the power of reason, right? So Socrates is famous for the way he questions students to think. Plato writes The Republic, how a society should be governed. Aristotle writes Politics, about human belief, knowledge, and thought. And as I said, what we get from ancient Greece is this idea of a democracy, that citizens of a country should have the right to vote and have a say in how they are governed and how they are ruled. Greece is also one of the first to develop different branches of government, so no one branch becomes too popular. And they're also one of the first to apply this idea of natural laws, that when you were born with the right to live your life the way you see fit. And then that link down below, if you want to watch the rest of that video, it goes into detail sort of about the Greeks. All right. Any question on that? So Greeks have basically the foundations of our democracy is in Greek society. That's the first big thing. Second thing we're going to show, this one is a little shorter, so I'll show it to you. and it's somewhat humorous in terms of what it is, but this is the Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire is where we get the idea of a republic. So when we go to the polls in November, we vote for House of Representatives, senators, President of the United States. These people we elect to make the decisions for us, right? So we get to vote basically once every 2 years. They're going to vote on a day-to-day basis. And that idea comes from this Roman Republic. So hopefully this will show up well too for you.
Here are the letters the Romans gave us. And here are the countries whose languages derive from Latin. Today they cover half the world. As for the ancient Romans, the boundaries of their state encompassed their entire civilization. The Roman peace, or Pax Romana, serves as the first example of globalization. Let's take a walk across 12 centuries of the Roman history. And yes, those numerals are also a Roman legacy. A city on 7 hills, capital of Italy. But that is today. And 2,000 years ago, there it is. Another 1,000 years ago, there. A tiny tribal settlement of the Latins by the river Tiber. How did this manage to conquer the world? First, it was lucky with its neighbors. To the north, the Etruscans of modern Tuscany, a mysterious people whose language has never been fully deciphered. To the south, Greek colonies. These peoples all traded with each other. It was at the crossroads of their trade routes that Rome appeared. From the very start, Rome has been an open city, a safe haven for outcasts, murderers, runaway slaves. Rome offered migrants a unique opportunity to become fully fledged citizens. This will make Rome the largest metropolitan city of the ancient world. The Romans themselves believed they were descendants of refugees from the Middle East who had survived the Trojan War. Romulus and Remus were the great-grandchildren of the Trojan hero Aeneas. Nursed by an Italian she-wolf, the brothers quarreled where to site the future world capital. Romulus killed Remus, gave his name to the city, and became its first ruler. As legend has it, there were 7 kings, each of which enjoyed a lengthy reign and left some beneficial legacy. A calendar, a sewer system, or the Capitolium, a temple to the senior god Jupiter. Much of what the Romans later became famous for, aqueducts, bridges, perhaps even the gladiatorial games, were borrowed from the Etruscans. These people had invented the Latin alphabet by adapting the Greek letters for their own needs. It's not surprising that their last kings were Etruscan. Rome borrowed her military and government organization from them, while maintaining her stern patriarchal simplicity. In 509, Rome was shaken by a sex scandal. The son of King Tarquin the Proud raped the chaste Lucretia. Tarquin was expelled, making him the last king of Rome. The Romans decided to prevent any such concentration of power ever again. From 509 onwards, they elected 2 consuls to serve a year apiece instead of a monarch. The consuls were controlled by the Senate. This consisted of 300 fathers, patres in Latin, hence the term patricians. Those not so lucky to be born into the right families joined the plebs. Even if they were as rich as patricians, they were not entitled to take up positions in the state. It is in the 200-year struggle for these rights that the Republic, literally meaning public thing, will be formed. The plebeians would make up the backbone of the army, and to have their own way, they would threaten the fledgling state with emigration to a neighboring hill. Each time, the scared patricians caved in, introducing, for instance, the special position of a representative or tribune of the plebeians. These had the right to veto any decisions of the consuls. One of the main achievements of the struggle was the publication of the first written laws. By 287 BC, the plebeians had achieved complete equality of rights with patricians. The unity of Rome found its best expression in the formula Senatus Populusque Romanus, the Senate and the Roman people, which still adorns the manhole covers in Rome.
Okay, so a couple of things about the Romans. The Romans, as I said, are Republican ideal. This idea that people are elected and basically represent your interests are all things that you'll see in our political system today, our system of government. So as it was said right there in that short clip, or part of the clip that I showed you, Rome was ruled by kings until 509 BC. So a group of aristocrats overthrew a harsh king and they set up a republic. So they set up a republic that basically has two houses in the legislature. Same thing that we have, right? We have a Senate, which is the upper house, and we have the House of Representatives, which is the lower house. The Romans set up the group ruled by the patricians, which would be the upper house, and then the plebeians, which would be the lower house. You have class structure, right? So this gets into our social structure again. The patricians, the upper house, were the wealthy landowners. The plebeians were common farmers, artisans, merchants. The Romans are also one of the first to put laws into writing. And so what you would find when you went into Rome is there were 12 tablets on the entrance into Rome. And basically, the plebeians forced the adoption of written laws, right? And that stops discrimination. It stops sort of a change because the laws are written down, right? Maybe thou shalt not kill. It's all there for everybody to see. So they can't make up laws as they go along. When you write down laws, right, it also makes it so that all free citizens are treated fairly under the same laws and that they are known ahead of time, right? So all free citizens had the right to the protection of the law. All people knew ahead of time. All laws were to be fairly used. As I said, this Republican form of government, similar to what we have today, had a Senate and two assemblies in Rome, and each would appoint a leader. Now, under Roman law, all citizens had the right to equal treatment. You were innocent until proven guilty, right? That's one of the tenets of our judicial system. The burden of proof was on the accuser, right? Laws must be fair and reasonable. So, for example, in this country, right, if you shoplift, or let's say that you run a red light, right? The penalty for running a red light is not the death penalty, right? They don't chop off your hand like in some parts of the world for theft. So laws in Rome had to be fair, had to be reasonable, and the laws had to be written down. And that's where the 12 tablets came in. And so you'll notice too, right? We have sections and ordinances in our counties, in our cities, and our states, even the federal government, that laws are written down, right? They can't just arrest you and then come up with a law and write it down and say, hey, you're guilty of that. So Rome creates the standards for a republic and equal human rights that is part of our system today, right? You're citizens of a state. You're not a subject of a ruler. Codes and laws should be written down, because if they're written down, then they could be applied equally to all of those that are with us. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. So if we click next out of there, right, I'm going to get it to forms of government. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Let me show you this. It's also in your Canvas. But basically, during this time, you're going to find 4 types of government. Let me move this out of the way. So you'll find 4 types of government during this early time, right? Monarchies, aristocracies, oligarchies, and direct democracy, right? Your direct democracy is going to come from, obviously, ancient Greece. Your monarchy is what Rome used to be. And monarchies are going to be very prevalent all the way through till about, I would say, 1860, 1870. Generally a state ruled by a king or a queen. Rule is hereditary, means it goes from king at this time or queen to the eldest son or daughter. Some rulers claim divine right. Divine right is a thought process that goes back to ancient China, really, where divine right, God has given you the power, right? God has given you the wisdom to rule. An aristocracy is a state ruled by nobility. Rule is hereditary and based on family ties, social rank, and wealth. Social status and wealth supports the ruler's authority. That is somewhat based on, right, this idea of Rome. Rome would almost be an aristocracy with the patricians and their upper class. An oligarchy is a state ruled by a small group of citizens, rules based on wealth or ability, and generally the ruling group controls the military. These would be your fascist states like Germany and Italy in World War II.
I feel like
A couple other examples that we can go through. And then, as we've said, Athens, Greece, ancient Greece, you have a direct democracy, right? The state is ruled by its citizens. Rule is based on citizenship. The majority rule decides the vote. So you can see the basis from where we get our ideals from there. All right. Last thing that I want to cover with you real quick is this idea of monotheistic religions. Monotheistic religions are a change from before, where belief in many gods was common, around the time of the last portion of the BC and into the years of Christ. Even 600 years after that, with the rise of Islam, you're going to see a number of, and I'll open this up so it'll be bigger, you'll see a number of people start to believe in monotheistic religions, right? Polytheistic is many gods, monotheistic is one. And so what you'll have during this time period, and you see this sort of ancient Rome, they start to move away from many gods. The first monotheistic religion on a wide scale is going to be Judaism, right? Based on the first five books of the Hebrew Bible, which is known as the Torah. Main points of that religion is belief in one God, right? Talked about morality, doing the right thing, and then obviously the 10 Commandments. Jesus Christ, right? Christianity, teachings of the New Testament, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and was it Paul? What's the Fourth Testament? I should remember that. I'm drawing a blank. Long day. Jesus claimed to be the Son of God, right? Crucified by the Romans. Said from his followers and his believers, right, that he rose after 3 days. His followers spread the religion after his death throughout the Roman Empire, and his first disciple, or one of his disciples, Peter, becomes the first pope or leader of the Catholic Church, which is a direct descendant of that. And then about 600 years after that is Islam. This is based on the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. Dignity of all human beings in the Holy Book is known as, right, the Quran. Followers are known as Muslims. They're offered charity to those in needs. And they're required to make one pilgrimage to the Holy Land in their lifetime. So the importance of monotheistic religions is the duty of the individual and the community to combat oppression. The worth of the individual and the equality before God makes people and individuals important instead of the leaders, right? These ideas help with democratic ideals and what is going on in terms of democracy. So that's why those religions are important. All right. So now when we get to these ideals, right? So 3 big ideas today. Ancient Greece is the foundation of democratic ideals in our society. Rome is basically the foundation of how our government and political system is set up. 3 branches of government. We elect people to make decisions for us. And then the basically importance of this switch from people seeing many gods in the world to this belief in one God, right? Adding credence to the value of individuals. Individuals are the most important. There will be 3 assignments that you submit. This one should be easy for you to finish with the remaining time we have in the period. It's just a map of ancient Greece and the city-states that you have here. So you can see Athens was the largest city-state in Greece because of its location here on the Mediterranean. City-state of Sparta was a little bit inland and a little bit more aggressive militarily. But basically, you're going to take these identifications here and you're going to type them, all right, using exactly how they appear here into 1, 2. So 1 obviously is Macedonia, right? So Macedonia is labeled right there. It's right there on the map. You'll put that in on 1 and then you'll submit that. That's on Go Formative, right? So if you click on that Go Formative link, it'll be there. You can see I spread out the map as we move through so that you don't have to scroll up so many times. When you are done with that, the 2 things that you'll do before we convene next Tuesday is forms of government is also in Go Formative. And so here is your major forms of government. You're going to put in 3 highlights for each form of government down below, and you'll hit submit there. And then for religions, if you click on this, it's going to take you to the first of 3 units you'll do. So this is the unit on Judaism, talking about monotheism, right? And there will be questions to answer down at the bottom. When you're done with that, you'll go to Christianity, which is section 2. So same thing, I'm going to talk about Christianity, the birth of Christ, its influence, right? So origins, beliefs, and influence. You'll submit that. And then the last one is Islam. Almost 600 years after Christ, Muhammad and its prophet, talking about what Muslims believe in and the spread of Islam throughout the area. And then you have your origins, beliefs, and spread there. So the map you'll want to finish with your remaining time between now and 3:10 and submit that. That is on Go Formative. Your forms of government, all right, is also on Go Formative. And then your last assignment that you'll do before next Tuesday is on TCI and is available there. All right. Anybody have any questions over that? Okay, so Go Formative is going to have your map of ancient Greece. You should do that with your remaining 37 minutes. Forms of government and your TCI, all from here, right? And this is in your module, will be what you are required to do. So ancient Greece, the map you'll want to do right now and submit that through Go Formative. This here, if you click on this, this will be forms of government in Go Formative. And then this will be TCI here, and you'll submit that before next Tuesday. So if you have questions, you can hang on, but that's what we needed to get done today, and that's what you need to have done before next Tuesday. As I said, Monday the 7th is a holiday, Labor Day, so there will be no office hours that day. The 8th, we will do an interactive review game together, putting everything in this unit together, getting ready for your assessment. Your assessment, I will show you how to take that. The one thing you want to remember about your assessment, use any of the notes or handouts that you have, but if you exit out of the tab of the assessment, your assessment will close and you'll be locked out. So I'll stay here if you have any questions or need any help. Otherwise, you can go ahead and click on the map of ancient Greece and submit that with your remaining time.
Mr. Brack.
Yes.
On Aries, it says that my themes of history is missing, but I turned it in Sunday night.
Okay, so let me check. Hold on. Let me log out of. I can check right now. So it's saying it's missing themes of history for
Yeah.
you? Okay. Oops, I need period. Yeah, period 6. See if you're. Oh, there you are. Period 4. Okay, so period 4. Okay, it just hasn't transferred over yet. It's got. Let me make sure this is right, but it looks like it's got your. Yep, it's got them in there. So I answered 1 through 5. Got them all there. Okay,
All
so I'll make sure.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Do you have any questions, Nancy?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.